Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to unseize a seized Microshift grip shift shifter. Bit of a mouthful. Now inside of here there are a lot of metal and a lot of plastic components which can perish over time and fail, but actually that's still quite a rare reason. The majority of reasons why this shifter is no longer moving very smoothly between the gears or at all is because the cable is going to be seized somewhere inside, most likely in near the entry point for the cable itself, or indeed inside the shifter. Anyway, to find out how, first thing you're going to do is to nip down to where the cable enters the last outer cable that runs up to the shifter, and you're just going to give it a trim there. There's no point saving the cable, you're going to get a new one. And the reason I'm doing it here rather than further down the other end where the derailleur is, the gear changing system, is because you don't want to pull all the crappy wire through this outer cable, because you're only going to add to the gunk that's already there. Okay, now we're back up to the business end. What we can do is we can now pull this outer cable outwards and just see if the cable itself is seized. And you know what it is, it was just stuck just then. And if you look here, there's a lot of rust and a lot of oxidation here. So I think actually we've found the issue anyway. What we need to do then is to lift up this access panel just here. And we can do this with a pick tool. The only thing is, which is really annoying, although this design is clever, this access point is at the top, which is great to get hold of, but it's really easy to screw it up. And the previous owner obviously has had a good go at this at some point in the past, or maybe a very uncareful mechanic. But unfortunately, there isn't much of a way you can do this. You just need to be very careful and just get the lip of your pick, maybe even a long fingernail if you've got one, and just to lift this off, and then eventually, there we go, it will come free. It's purely for not just aesthetics, but to keep rain from going in here. Now, by holding the cable here, if you just give things a bit of a push, look at that, you can see the cable come straight through. We can pop the outer back in here now, and we can just pull this all the way through. You can see the rust just there showing itself. So I reckon that is going to be the problem, but we will know instantly whether it was the cable or not, because if this doesn't turn, then the issue is actually the shifter itself. But no, there we go, all nice and smooth. So a new cable is what is called for. Now once you've got your new cable ready, it's a simple case of just threading into the hole. It will course its way round without causing any issues at all, and then it will come out nicely from the exit point, and you can thread it through the outer cable. I think not. There's another point where the cable can get lost as it's trying to course its way and bend its way round to the exit point. So I'm going to bring things round and show you where that access point is and how to fix it. Okay, sorry if I've just made you seasick with me moving you around. Okay, so you can see this point here. Hopefully there's a bit of a gap here. Again, much like the access point I showed you a minute ago, it would be a shame to damage these parts. So with a long fingernail, it'll be much easier if you can, otherwise use a pick. You can just pull this access panel out, as simply as that. Now when it comes to installing your cable, you can go in that entry point and exit point that I spoke about a moment ago, and it's going to come straight down like that. And this is where you need to do a bit of bending. So you don't want to bend the cable to the point where it actually kinks, but just get enough, pull enough through that you can just thread through, and you will see exactly the point you need to go through, because it's an obvious hole. You can see this point here, and if you remove your outer cable, I know it's a bit out of focus, but you can see what I'm doing here, then you can, there we go, thread this thing in properly, remove that bend, and then it's just a simple case of just pushing the cable through like that. And then if we follow things round, talk about a live video, there we go, and as we keep pushing the cable through, it's going to appear here. If it doesn't come out straight away, you just need to sometimes remove this cable, there we go, and it will help itself through. There we go, then we can pull that through, and back at the lever end that we just were, you just need to make sure that your nipple goes all the way in. So there's your nipple, and you can see it hasn't completely fitted its way in. Sometimes it will get kinked up. It's no big drama at all. You just need to shift up and shift down. There we go. A bit of wiggling and it's all good to go. Now you can always put your access panel cover over the entry point now. I wouldn't, just to make sure that this nipple hasn't worked itself loose. Anyway, that's how you thread a Microshift grip shift shifter. When it comes to threading things up at the other end and setting the gears up, it'll be exactly the same as a regular rear derailleur. Rather than waste all of your time now, just have a look at my videos and I'll put a link in the description to this video to a full in-depth how to set up your rear gears video. I hope that makes sense. But as a bit of bonus content, if you're here and you want to set up your gears as well, you're not going to want to faff about looking at another video, so I'm going to do this bit for you as well. Just remember that the rear derailleur isn't necessarily going to be a Microshift one, so the levers, the derailleurs, they usually work together. Shimano, SRAM, Microshift, a lot of these companies all work together. Provided you have the same number of gears, they will be compatible. So let's jump down the other end and we'll crack on with the derailleur and the setting up. So this is the cable we cut at the beginning of the video. It's obviously not going to come out completely because we haven't removed this kiddie. This is going to be a 9mm nut. So we're just going to remove the tension, oops, a little bit, not completely, but just enough that this cable can be pulled through. And there we go. We can dispose of that appropriately. And then it's a case of getting your new cable threaded through. So working your way underneath the bike. I know this is out of focus, but just underneath the bottom bracket, which is between the two pedal arms, the crank arms, there's usually a plastic guide that you need to put the cable through. Then you need to chuck it through here. It's going to pop out of here in a second. Excellent. And what you have here, this is called a barrel adjuster. You're going to turn this all the way righty-tighty, which is clockwise. Once it's at its limit, you're then going to back off a full turn. So this point here is going to go a full 360 and a bit more for good luck. And that means when we finish up the setting up of the gears and we do minor adjustments, there's a little bit of give because this will pull the cable backwards and forwards. You've got a similar barrel adjuster at your lever end as well, so make sure you do the same at the lever end. And now it's a case of pulling things through with the cable and setting up this gear here. What I'm going to do is come at a slightly higher angle and looking down. Might be a bit more helpful for you to see. Make sure that your gears are in number 6 at the shifter end. Make sure this chain is at 6 as well. You can just pedal and that will hopefully set the chain to the 6th gear if it isn't already. And then it's a case of just fitting this cable in. Now you can use a variety of different tools. The way I do it is I push in this derailleur, and as I'm pushing the derailleur in, I'm just allowing there to be a little bit of give, if you like. Let me just get this in focus for you guys. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure because that will help things at the end. So this is how you need to do it. Put a bit of pressure once you've threaded the cable underneath the clamp, and holding that pressure in place, we're going to do this nut back up. There we go, in place now. Oh, it's a bit tight there. Now let's see how far off we are. That bit of pressure has probably set things up bang on. You know what, it has. If it wasn't right, then it would have made a noise like a clicking noise. So you can see there's a bit more clicking sound now. And likewise, if it was the other way, I'm just using this barrel adjuster to show if the cable was too tight, it then conversely makes a noise. There, you can hear it making more of a clickety clackety sound. So what you can do is you can look this way down the derailleur, down the length of the bike, and then you can see, let's bring this round and I'll show you. Then you can see if things are in line with each other. Oh, that's a perfect alignment, look at that. So you want to make sure that this pulley, this part of the derailleur, is perfectly in line with the bottommost gear. And then if you pedal and go to gear 5, again, things should be perfectly in line. Let's see if they are. Well, they look to be. With this barrel adjuster, you can now see what will happen. If I adjust things one way or the other, can you see that, oops, this part moves towards the wheel? And then similarly, if we do it this way, There we go. It's moving the other way as well. So you want to make sure that things are perfectly in line, and assuming this part is nicely in line and there have been no bashes on the bikes, if this bit's parallel, this bit will also be parallel as well. So if it's okay for gear 6 and 5, it's going to be the same for 4, 3, 2 and 1 as well. But let's see. So we're on 5. Let's get onto the 4. Now there's a bit of clickety-clack there. Bit of clickety-clack noise, which is fine. But I would say there just needs to be a little bit more of adjustment. There we go. That noise is gone. 3, 2 and 1. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Amazing. So there we are. All we need to do now is to give things a bit of a trim at the end of the cable. Put on a crimp at the end as well. That should have come with your cable. And then you are good to go. So we'll give this a chop. We'll pop the cable end, the crimp on, and then we will just close things up, crimp it on. And we are in business, and we are job done. That is how you replace the cable. You remedy and fix the issue with a Microshift grip shift shifter, and as bonus content, also how you adjust the gears for your rear derailleur. And we are done, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. It makes all of this worthwhile. Happy cycling, and I'll see you next time.